Hello everyone and welcome back to a subject neutral Let's Look At series. This is the first thing I've recorded solo by myself in a while. The past couple of things have all been like Town of Salem or various multiplayer stuff. So I thought today we would sit down and have a look at a fresh new release. This is Stellaris. This is a 4K or a 4X simulator, sci-fi simulator from the guys at Paradox. These are the people who do Crusader Kings 2, who we know and love, and this is essentially Crusader Kings 2 in space. You've got your various different empires here. We're going to go over stuff, but it is just like Crusader Kings 2 in space. Here is our year up here, 2241, with the month and the days. And first off, let's have a look at our resources up here. Now, this is a grand strategy game. It's not just like, say, Sins of a Solar Empire, which myself and Torque filmed just recently, which is really a lot more combat focused or macro focused. This one, there isn't really micro in the sense of StarCraft where you're controlling fleets, but it is a grand strategy, geez, my brain, much like Crusader Kings 2, where you've got to focus on the buildings, you've got to focus on the provinces. So, first, let's go over the resources. Up here is our resources. We've got energy credits, which are the closest thing to money. We've got minerals, which is what you use to build everything, and influence, which is what you do to get edicts through, to visit some places and set up frontier outposts to expand your borders, stuff like that. Hire leaders, upgrade leaders. We've got our various tech research here, so we've got physics, society, and engineering, and this is how much of your tech you're getting per month. So if we go to the tech screen, you've got 3 people, one for each one of those categories, who are each researching tech. And this is one of the neat things about it. Tech actually moves fairly quickly. Like, some of this stuff is pretty slow, but you're often finding bonuses that speed it up. But the thing about these tech is it's not a tech tree like in StarCraft or in even CK2 or Age of Empires. It's not a set tech tree. Instead, it's pretty random. It's almost like a deck of cards. So every time one of these finishes, you're dealt 3 cards from the deck, and you get to pick. Like let's have a look at this one just in case. So if you have a look at this, I have this bonus one here because of other stuff I've been doing, but you're essentially dealt 3 cards, and you decide which one of these cards do you want to do. And then when it researches through, you don't get those same cards back. Instead, you're dealt another 3 cards, and they're color-coded to help. So blue is obviously sort of the most basic, orange here is generally a bit more of a medium one, and purple here is rare. And this rare technology, you're very unlikely to get it dealt, and you're even more unlikely to get it dealt twice. So when you're dealt it, you really need to take it, which can really slow you down sometimes. Now, when you expand your empire to get more resources, there are 2 ways to go about expanding. You can colonize a planet, which is slow and sucks a ton of resources in the beginning, but you'll get a ton of resources once you have it. Or you can build what's called a frontier outpost, which is this sigil right here on the map. And if we go in, it just hovers around the star there. I almost said the sun, but it's close enough. And what happens is the frontier outpost gives you a ton of territory real fast, but it takes maintenance, and it actually sucks up a fair bit of influence and power and other stuff. So you kind of want to replace those frontier outposts with colonies as soon as you can, because the colony borders will eventually expand to take up the same area. And in this game here, my Iron Man game that I'm playing, I accidentally did a bit of a dummy and used my frontier outposts in places where there are no planets to colonize, so that is going to get a bit difficult. Now, one of the other things that this game is really neat for, and maybe I'll back out and show it to you in a different clip, but here is our government. We are humans, the United Nations of Earth, and like in CK2, your leader gets traits, which are here. So her traits, President Roberta York, she is a champion of the people, so my people are generally happier, and she's a space miner, so it's cheaper to build stations. But we also have traits for our empire. Let's see, where is the easiest way to show that? Let's bring up one of the alien ones first. So this is the same for us, except, you know, we're humans. So an empire also has traits. First off, these guys are a military republic. They're also fanatical purifiers, so they believe in just purging any aliens they come across. As you can guess, we are not on good terms with them. They're also militarist, so they get bonuses. And fanatic xenophobes, which means they hate any kind of aliens. They get a massive boost to their slavery tolerance. And then down here, we can check out their species. They are fungoids. So it's hard to bring up off to the side there, but you can see their traits. They are nomadic, so they settle planets faster, or they migrate between planets faster. They are weak, physically weak, so they're not as great in combat. Quick learners, their leaders level up faster. And Arctic preference, so they prefer Arctic planets. And then there's a few modifiers down there which are sort of the actual numbers for them. Let's see, can we bring ours up? Yeah, here it is. Ours are xenophiles, so we love aliens. We want to meet as many as possible. We're great at diplomacy. And we're fanatic individualists, so we won't put up with slavery. We get more energy credits. And it also, there's a few problems with being individualist in that your colonies really tend to want, they often want independence, or they want more powers for themselves.
The demographics tab tracks the makeup and spread of our empire's populace.
So this, like he was saying over there, the demographics, this shows how many aliens are within our borders. Right now, there are only humans, because the people around us are not very nice. To the north, we've got this Avabian League, or Avabian Confederation, which included this, but because they're xenophobes who hate all the other aliens, they've been in wars a lot, so they've been kind of beat up. We've also got the Haspalfal Kingdom over here, and the Alliance of Clickdick States. So we're going to look at these Clickdick people, because these are my allies, as we can see down here. They are federation builders, so they want to build alliances, they want strong bonds. They're xenophile, like me, so they love aliens, and they're also fanatic individualists, just like me, so we get along really well. And so far, they've been kind of too far away to deal with stuff. We also have some empires way off here in the Galactic East that really haven't been doing much. These guys down here, however, are very different. This is a fallen empire, the Serlian successor states. They are incredibly powerful. If we bring up the window, we can check out how they relate to us. They are overwhelming, they are patronizing towards us, and they are military isolationists. So all the fallen empires are one of 4 or 5 different kinds, and they will mess you up. They're essentially like the Forerunners from Halo or the Xel'Naga from StarCraft. They are the original spacefarers. They have been here for years, and they do not like young people. They will not deal with us, they will not be allies, and they all have some kind of quirk. So these guys as military isolationists, if anyone gets too close, these guys will go and kick their ass and push them back. And as you can see, we are already getting close. But we didn't discover them until after we'd started expanding this way. Other ones include Holy Guardians, so there are holy sites scattered throughout this galaxy, and if there's a Holy Guardian fallen empire, if anyone dares to colonize their holy sites, they will show up and kill them all. These guys are another empire that's just been doing really bad. I don't know what they're doing here, but these guys are different. As you explore around, and we'll get to exploring in a moment, as you explore, you will find planets with primitives. So this planet here, it's within our empire, but we don't colonize it. We have an observation post. And if we click on it, we will find that there is a primitive civilization here. The ones on this planet are in the Renaissance age. And there's a couple of things, mostly by having these planets in your empire, you get a big boost to your research. But as you unlock more technology, you can attempt to enlighten them and make them your vassals, and you help them into the space age. Or you get another planet, much like this one, which has pre-sentient life on it. And as you research more, you can uplift these, and to make them into the perfect slave species or the perfect guardians, you can tamper with their genetic code to make the ultimate species for you, or your ultimate servant species. But one of the things you have to watch is on these primitives, they will advance. Their technology slowly gets better. So this guy over here, the Consortium of Biltron, when we first met these creepy spider fungoid things, they were actually in the atomic age. And they teched up without anyone helping them and formed their own space empire. And they happened to be within the borders of the Avabian Confederacy, but when they popped, they essentially took over this territory, which further hurt the Confederacy right as we were kicking their ass in a war. So the next... so the end result is the politics are really interesting. And just like CK2, you can do alliances, you can do trade deals. I actually had a glitch the other day. Let's see if it fixed. I don't know how to trade with this guy over here. It won't pop up. But anyway, it's much like CK2. There are diplomatic routes, there are trade routes. You can do all kinds of things. But one of the things is that's interesting. You can't go over there. I just haven't noticed that before. Is you want to be exploring. So we have a couple of science ships out here. We have the UNS Balo out here in the Kodraka system, surveying it. So this is how you explore, is you send a science vessel, or you can send a corvette, but they can't really survey, and they pop into a system, and they can slowly survey places. So the stuff in gray here we haven't seen. When we click on it, after it's been surveyed, it tells us what resources are there, its habitability, what kind of details it is, but when it hasn't been surveyed, you get a little bit of information, but you don't know resources, you don't know special stuff, and occasionally you'll find anomalies, which might be stuff left by forerunners, or maybe it's weird alien stuff that boosts your tech. But it's some really interesting stuff. And this game is new. I probably should have said that at the beginning. But this came out on Monday, the 9th. I'm filming this on the 10th. I'm hoping it will get up this week. So it's a fresh new game. There are a couple of glitches because it's new, but nothing terrible. And for the most part, it's probably going to get solved quick. There's a couple of sort of known bugs that are going to get dealt with in the next patch, but because it's so new, they don't want to patch it right away. So we've done exploring. I've showed you the tech. Here's the situation log. This just kind of shows your missions, how to do some stuff. So there's a tutorial mission, but I don't have the technology to do it yet, so it's just sitting there. This is the precursors. This is my quest to sort of discover more about the precursors who came before. This is something really neat, and this is something Torque will love when he sees this. This is your ship designer. You can design how your ships look. So you can bring up sort of the template, and the more you research, the more sort of slots you'll get. Or the different, the different templates have different things. So for example, this template has 2 medium weapon slots, this one has 4 medium weapon slots, and as you research more and more stuff, you can change the weapons. So here's the different weapons I've researched. You can slide in and out. You can change what weapons there are. Down here are sort of the more components. So this is where you can stick better fuel stuff. You can give it shields. You can give it more armor. If we jump to, say, the Corvette, this is one of our frontline Corvettes. So it's armed with 2 different kinds of missiles, including a smaller fusion missile. We've got some shields on it. We've got lots of fusion reactors. And then you can, over here, change sort of basic components. In fact, I'm going to change some of this as we go through it now, because I have upgraded thrusters, I've got better radar, but the more you change, the more expensive it is, and the higher the maintenance is. Oh, see, and you have to watch it, because as right now it won't let me save, because we don't have enough energy. So let's try and slap in another fusion reactor here. If we're going to do that, let's slap in some armor. But see, now we're up to 112 minerals. This Corvette class here started at 70, so it can get expensive fast. Now as your empire grows, you don't have too much trouble getting more minerals. Right now we're getting 70 minerals per month, but we're also spending an awful lot of that on our building. So if we open the planets tab, we're going to go to Karak Wolfen, one of our first colonies. So here's showing us what we get from this planet per month. Here's the current available food, the surplus of food, the size of the planet, and this one has a governor. Not all your planets are going to get governors because you can only have so many leader slots, but it's good to have a leader slot. Look at the bonuses they get. So at these planets, I've built a spaceport, so here's where you can be building some ships. There's the army slot. Right now it's got a defensive army, but there's no attacking armies anywhere. But here's the surface. This is what's important. Here's our colonists. Colonists are working buildings. You can upgrade the buildings. So the bigger the planet, the more spaces you'll have. So if we go to Earth, for example, which is my homeworld, we've got a couple more spaces. Got some buildings I can upgrade later as well. And this is where sort of the microing happens, because you want to be upgrading buildings. You want to be building the buildings in the first place. If we visit Kongzi, which is one of my most recent colony, see, this colonist here is getting popped. And we can move a colonist around. I want him right there for now. Here's the resources he's going to get. There's no building there. When he gets closer to popping, we'll build a building there, so we'll get even more resources. But you don't want to build a building before he's popped, because otherwise it's just wasting resources sitting around. One of the things you have to keep an eye on as you play is how many planets you have. Up here is your directly controlled planets limit. This is your core worlds. You can only have 5 worlds directly controlled by you at a time. As you start getting more, you have to build sectors, which you can see these sectors here. This is the eastern section, even though it's the eastern sector, even though it's not in the east, but that was because of a war that happened earlier. And over here I've got the Terra Nova sector. Both sectors have a couple of planets in them. The planet of Terra Nova, a couple of Alpha Centauri. Over here there's a couple of planets in the eastern sector, both in Eurus and soon to be Villith. So you really have to keep an eye on it. And generally what I've been doing is I've got 3 core worlds that I always keep with me. And then the other 2 are colonies that I'm building up. And once they get built up, they're going to be turned into sectors or added to sectors. One of the things you have to watch, of course, is the habitability of worlds. Us humans, we are from continental worlds, so they like it more on those worlds. They're better at it. They expand faster, they're happier, and the farther away from that kind of world you get, the worse it is. So there's always going to be some worlds, even as humans, even as other stuff, that you can't sort of colonize. And we ran into that problem out here on Fjordhaven, out on the frontier. This world was actually once an ocean world, covered in oceans, but we got an event where we discovered an ancient terraforming device, and we used it to try and make the world better. And unfortunately, it turned into a desert world. So all the people hate me because they're very unhappy. This isn't the planet they signed up for. If we go to the habitability, it's 25%. That means the max happiness out of 100 is 25. So they're actually getting pretty close to rioting. And right on the frontier with all the other worlds, that's going to be a problem. Now, I don't want to make this video too long because it's just supposed to be a let's look at, so I'm actually probably going to call it here. I'm really thinking I might make a series in this. It would be really neat if I could get some other people to make in the series. The Paradox people, as this was coming out, ran a series that you should check out over on Paradox's channel, where they had 22 YouTubers and Paradox people, 10 AI, and 3 Fallen Empire. So it gets to be a pretty crowded map. This one I've actually really cut down on AI. So all this sort of lit area that you can see has been more or less explored. So I'm branching out. There's still a lot of the galaxy left that hasn't been discovered. I'm betting there's at least 2 more Fallen Empires I haven't found. So it would be really neat to get a bunch of players in this. And especially because not only can you customize what kind of empire you're going to be, you can customize your traits, you can pick the portrait. So the end result is it's a really neat thing. I've done a really terrible job of this let's look at. But I just want to get you an idea of this and to explain a few of the mechanics. Because when we end up getting back into a series for this, I'm unlikely to deal too much time with the mechanics and we'll focus more on playing. I haven't even hit unpause this whole game. I've just been talking so much. So instead, I'm going to call it here. We are going to check out... one last thing is there's a couple of different ways to travel amongst the stars. So right now, the United Nations of Earth, let's go to one of our science ships and we'll check out the ships. So we are traveling with the warp drive. Warp drive is probably the slowest mode of transportation, but the most reliable. You're pretty much guaranteed to be able to go from star to star to star. There's two other modes. There's hyperlanes, which are really fast and which you can use anywhere in your star system. So if you click on the system to go in, warp drives you have to be way out here on the edge. Hyperlanes you can be anywhere in here. They're super fast, but like the name says, you have to use certain lanes. So if your lane cuts right through an empire, say this one place connected to, oh, we didn't mean click, say Xerac here connected to the frontier, you couldn't stop off at Akmal in between. You have to go to that frontier. So you can get boxed in really easy, but you're really fast. The third mode is warp gates. You have to actually build a gate in your system that lets you travel somewhere else. And usually you have to build a gate on the other end. So you're moving really slow till you get there, but then you could have a gate way up here connected to way down here for instant transportation. But they're hard to defend. They're pretty slow to get there originally. But there's pros and cons to everything. You'll see more of that as the series plays. So we're going to call this for now. Leave a comment if you want to see more of Stellaris. Let me know if you'd like a better Let's Look At where we go into certain mechanics more in depth. We could do a whole tutorial season in this. But otherwise, I am Gankom, your host with the most, and I will see you next time. Have a good time, folks.